Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Kim. I am a community learning specialist with Do Space, and I am coming at you from my home. If you are new to Little's Lab, we put on Little's Lab every Tuesday and Saturday morning. Um, and every month is a different theme or different kind of activities that we do. And this month, our theme or activities is we are exploring our world. And so, yeah, we've been just talking about different ways and kind of learning about different ways how you can explore your world. And one of, there's so many different ways that you can explore your world, right? You can, look at maps. You can look at pictures from places across our planet, or maybe it's even just looking in your backyard or your neighborhood. And so sometimes, yeah, it's just looking and seeing, well, what kind of plant is that, or what animal is making that noise. Those are great ways exploring your world. Or even it's just trying new things, new foods that are maybe a little different than you usually eat at home. Maybe it's trying a new restaurant that is from that features food from a country that you've never been to before. You can see what kind of food they eat maybe in Japan or in Peru, something like that. Some places they eat some different stuff than us here in maybe Nebraska. So those are all different ways of exploring our world. How do you explore your world? How do you explore your world? If there are ways that like you've been exploring your world, let me know in the chat. I would love to hear how you explore your world. Sometimes, like I said, maybe it's going to the park, maybe it's trying a new hobby. Those are all ways of exploring your world and learning about different things. So that's what we were doing today. We've been specifically kind of talking about the nature side of exploring our world when we've been doing this, and we are going to continue with that. I'm going to be reading a story about, and I know it kind of sounds weird, but we're going to be reading a story about oak trees. And I'm doing this specifically because we have a lot of oak trees in Nebraska. And sometimes it's cool to know, maybe if you're going on a walk, hey, I know what kind of tree that is. And so then we're going to be doing a really cool app, an interactive app that features plants. And we're going to see how oak trees maybe grow. And we're also going to see how mushrooms grow. So perfect. So let's get started. I always like to start out with our calendar. So let's get started with our calendar. I'm going to bring up our calendar for us. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay, let's try that one more time. That was the whiteboard. That's not what I wanted to do. And I like to go to a website called starfall.com, and I'm going to hit the kindergarten. And I think Starfall is really nice. They have some fun activities. Not all of them are free, but at least the activity that we're doing today is the calendar. And so I'm going to touch that calendar that says May on the top right. And this is how we're getting started. So if we were at Do Space has this really big a really big interactive monitor or like computer screen that we would ask our friends to pop up and touch and go through. And even though you're at home and I'm at home and we can't touch it, our big screen monitor like we can at Do Space, I'm going to have you pretend with me, and I'm going to have you pretend by touching your monitor or your screen. And so I'm actually going to be moving us along, but I want you to pretend with me. So for example, you should see a big triangle in the middle of your screen. Go ahead and touch that big triangle. And we are right in the middle of our month that we are, that's the first word. And what's that very first letter of our very first word that makes the sound? What makes that sound? Is it our M? Yeah, it is our M. Does anybody know what our month is called that starts with our letter M. I know that starts with our letter M. It is May. That is right. We are in the month of May, May. And we are in the year 2020. Perfect. So can you guys go ahead and touch that green arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? Go ahead and touch that green arrow. So this is our month of May. And you can see all the numbers, and at the top, right under where it says May 2020, you should see our 7 days of the week. And we go through our 7 days of the week. We repeat them every week and every month and all year long. So it's important to know our 7 days of the week. So let's say our 7 days of the week all together. So you say them with the people that you're with, and I'll say them with you. So let's start with Sunday. So it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Good job. And then what is today's day of the week? What is today's day of the week? It's our very last one, the very last one we said. And our hand is pointing at it. Starts with our sound. It is Saturday. That is right. Today is Saturday. That's our day of the week. So can you go ahead and touch our Saturday with us, our golden Saturday? Let's touch that goldy, sparkly Saturday. So today is Saturday. That's our day of the week. Our month is called May. And then that number is our date today. And who knows when a 1, I'm going to get that in the camera, when a 1 is in front of a 6. Oh, I can't do it. 6, 6, 6. There we go. I was trying to do this. 3 and 3. So when a 1 is in front of a 6, it is 16. Yeah, so today is the 16th day of May. Today is May 16th. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and touch that green arrow for us. And then we need to put our day and week and our date in the right place on our calendar. So can you guys help me out? We're just going to like touch and drag. So, and they're pretty easy because they're right at the end. So we're going to touch and drag. Oop, let me get my hand out of the way. Our Saturday where it needs to go. And our 16 where it needs to go. And let's go ahead and touch that green arrow one more time. Perfect. So like I said, we are basically smack dab in the middle of our month. We are halfway through our month of May, and we've already had some pretty good fun days this month, right? We have. So, and we can see some of those days on our calendar. So for example, on Tuesday, May 5th was a special day for 2 reasons. So it was Teachers' Day, which is so important. It was a day to honor our teachers and say thank you for all they do, because teachers are such hardworking people, especially nowadays, you know, with this, where we're going through, it's so important to appreciate our teachers, right? So that's an extra special day to appreciate our teachers. And it is also Cinco de Mayo, which means the 5th of May in Spanish. So Cinco means 5 and Mayo means May. So basically Cinco de Mayo is 5th of May. So it's right there in the name. So if you ever think like, what does Cinco de Mayo mean? Just look at the date and you'll remember. And so, yeah, so that was on Tuesday, May 5th. And then there was an extra special day on Sunday, May 10th. Oh, wrong way. There we go, May 10th. And that was Mother's Day. So did you guys celebrate your moms? It's a great day to celebrate, you know, moms of all sorts, right? You know, it's grandmas and women that take care of us. Anybody who takes care of us, you know, is just like a mom. So it's a great day to celebrate those special ladies in our life that take care of us. And so that was on Sunday, May 10th. And then you're going to see an icon that, again, I'm actually going to look that up right now. Because I keep telling you that I'm going to look this holiday up. on Monday, May 18th, which is Victoria's Day. And I keep meaning to look it up, so we're going to do that really quickly. And we're going to learn what that day is really, really quickly. So, and that is what I thought. It is a day that it's celebrated in our the country that is right north of us called Canada, and it is celebrated in honor of the Queen Victoria's birthday. There we go. So there was a queen that lived in England, and her name was Queen Victoria, and she was doesn't say what day she was born necessarily, but she was born on Monday. Well, again, it doesn't say what day she was born, but it's the celebration of her birthday. And so that is why there is Victoria's Day in Canada. So now I know, so I can talk about it next Tuesday as well. And then we have our Memorial Day. And so that is on Monday, May 25th. And that is where we celebrate people that might not be with us anymore, who have passed on. And so we celebrate that day, just remembering those people and honoring those people that were special to us that maybe aren't with us anymore. And so that's on May 25th. So I know that everybody has a birthday, right? I have a birthday and you have a birthday, but not everybody has a birthday in our month of May. Does anybody have a birthday in our month of May? Does anybody have a birthday in our month of May? I am not seeing any birthdays in our month of May. That's okay. My birthday's not in May. So we'll put some stars. We'll add some gold stars to our purple star to kind of celebrate today, because it's a good day to be here, right? Yes, celebrating a little time. Perfect. Okay, friends, so we are going to move on to our story. So I am going to share my app that I use called Epic Books that has so many good stories on it. And I like it because not only are there like fiction or stories that are made up, but there's also stories that are called nonfiction, or stories that are true. Stories that are just about like facts, right? And so this is kind of a story about facts about oak trees. And I have a reason behind this, and that is because we have lots of oak trees in Nebraska. And so I go on walks in my neighborhood all the time, and I see all sorts of oaks, and I always wonder, like, what kind of tree, or we just have lots of trees in Nebraska. Well, we have lots of trees here in this part of Nebraska, in the Omaha area, because we're right by a river. We're right by the Missouri River. And because we're right by the Missouri River, we get a little bit more rain, we have a lot more trees. But if you head out west, there's a few less trees out there, right? Few less trees. But in this area, we have a lot of trees. And I like to go on walks and think, what kind of trees are those? And I know some of them are oak trees. And so I bet you have some oak trees in where you live, maybe in parks or in your neighborhood if you go on walks. So this might help you learn a little about the trees that you see when you walk. And that's a great way of exploring your world, right? Such a good way to learn about where you live. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to go on a nature walk and learn about oak trees. So you are looking for oak trees. And let's go on a nature walk. And can you find an oak tree? Let's see if we can find an oak tree. A good way to help find an oak tree is to look for a leaf. The leaves help us identify different trees, right? So a white oak leaf has rounded lobes. So if you look at that leaf at the top, see how it's a lot more rounded, like your fingers. And then a red oak leaf has pointed lobes. I said lobes. I mispronounced that. It's lobes. So look at the lobes on that lower leaf. They're a lot more pointy. So if you ever look at if you see a tree and it looks like these leaves, you'll know what kind of oak tree. One might be a white oak tree and one might be a red oak tree. You can look for the trunk. Oak bark is gray and rough. So another good way to look to see what kind of tree it is look at the trunk or the bark, because the bark for different trees is different. You could look for squirrels, because I bet a lot of squirrels live in oak trees, and I bet you know why. And you can look for woodpeckers. They nest in oak trees. That makes sense, because when I go on walks, I can hear woodpeckers all over the place. And do you think there are squirrels in oak trees because of the oak nuts? Yeah, what those squirrels really love, the acorns or the oak nuts. Speaking of acorns, look for acorns. They are green in the summer, and in fall they turn brown. So we should see, if you're maybe a little bit later than we are now, maybe in the next month or two, if you go on walks and do you see little green acorns on the trees, then you know it's an oak tree. And then you can look for a young oak tree, but it doesn't have any acorns left. But you can tell by the leaves. Do you remember, based off the pages before, what kind of oak tree this is? Do you remember? By the lobes, they're rounded. I bet it's a white oak tree, even though the leaves are red. Ooh, and only old oak trees grow acorns. They start when they are 50 years old. Oh my goodness. Trees only start making acorns after they turn 50 years old. Can you believe that? That's crazy. They'd have to be so big and so old. And then you can look for flowers in spring. They are called catkins, and they make pollen to help acorns grow. So you can see, look at those beautiful little catkins. And so those help the acorns grow. Have you seen an oak tree? I bet you have. And now, because what season are we in right now? Do you guys know what season we're in right now? We are in the season of spring, right? So right now, if you see an oak tree, you might see these catkins on them, especially with all this rain that we've been getting. You might see some really pretty oak trees with these catkins. So be on the lookout for those oak trees by their leaves, by their bark, and by the catkins. So we have, let's look at, remember, we have our parts of an oak. We have the branch, obviously, because most trees have branches, right? And then we have our trunk. That's the main part of the tree. We have our leaves, which help us identify what kind of tree it is. And then we have the seed, right? So the acorns are our seeds. And it just has a special name. So yeah, so hopefully the next time you go on a walk, maybe you'll see a oak tree and you'll know what it is right away, and you can point it out to maybe your grown-up or your siblings and be like, I know what kind of tree that is. That's an oak tree. And maybe this is a good time to explore what other kind of trees. And we're going to be kind of talking about that next week, how we can identify different plants using a really cool app. So if you're with us next week, we're going to be talking about how to identify different plants using an app. And I think that's it, all done. So perfect. So friends, I'm going to change over to one of our apps, and it is, again, our Tinybop app. And I'm going to talk a little bit louder because I think you probably should be hearing things, and I can't turn that off. So I'm going to make sure, let me know if you can't hear me very well. So this is our Tinybop app called Plants. And I think it's so cool because right now we can actually change our different, right now this is spring in like a forest, or maybe we would want to explore the rainy season somewhere, or maybe we would want to explore summer somewhere. But because we are in the season of spring, I want us to look at our spring environment. So this is our spring environment. I'm going to make it so I'm touching in a corner. I'm going to make it so it's a little bit sunny. There we go. So just like this morning, we are going to make it a nice spring morning. And what's cool is you should see a little bar, white bar at the very bottom left. And I move it to the right. You can kind of see what the earth looks like underneath our trees and plants. And then I'm going to touch that little plus sign at the top. And we are going to look closer at some of our different plants. So I'm going to touch this one, and I like it specifically because it is the white oak. And we just talked about it, right? We just talked about this white oak. So let's take a look at our white oak, because you can see, what are those called? Do you remember what those are called? The little flowers on our oak trees? Were they called catkins? Yeah. So you can see, and then the catkins hanging down from the top branch and a little bit from the bottom branch. And then we know it's a white oak because of the lobes of the leaves. They are rounded, which is cool to know that, right? So I'm going to touch the dangly ones, and I'm going to, what's coming off those catkins is some pollen, and they're going to help our acorn grow. And you should be able to see our acorn growing right now. Now we have a green one, and now it's turning a little bit browner. And so, do you remember what season it should be when it's all brown like this? It's the fall, right? So I'm going to touch our little acorn, touch it a few times, and I'm going to get it to fall. So now that we have our acorn fallen, let's see if we can get it to grow. Ooh, our little acorn is growing into a tree. But will it grow acorns now? No, I don't think so. What happens if we get another acorn to fall? Because lots of, like, trees don't just produce one acorn, right? They produce a lot of acorns. And that's how a lot of times forests grow, is that lots of acorns and lots of seeds grow and get planted, and then we have forests. So you might be familiar with an area called the Fontanelle Forest. It's kind of in the south part of Omaha. Ooh, look at that tree get real big. And there's lots of oak trees there. There are trees, there's one that are called bur oak. And I learned recently that I should have looked this up about white oaks, but I know that bur oaks, they can live to be 300 or more years old. How crazy is that? Trees can get so old sometimes. So there are trees in parts of Omaha that are, there are more than 300 years old. So that's older than our country. That's older than our country. How crazy is that? So I wonder, so we have lots of fun growing oak trees. And soon it'll make a nice big forest, right? Which is so good. Plants are so good for us. They help make oxygen, which is what we breathe. And they use carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out. So we help each other out. They make the stuff that we breathe in, and we make the stuff that they breathe in. Perfect. Okay, we're going to move on to a different kind of plant. I'm going to move over. I'm going to bring this back over, and I am going to touch our little plus sign again. And I'm going to touch the circle that's on the far, far right, because I think these are pretty cool. I want us to look at these tawny milk cap mushrooms. So I bet you've seen mushrooms before. They maybe you even like to eat mushrooms. There are some mushrooms that are edible, but not all mushrooms. So definitely if you go on a walk and see a mushroom, do not eat it because it may not be edible. It might be poisonous. It might make you sick. But there are some mushrooms that you can eat. Like I know I love the mushrooms that I get from the grocery store. They're so yummy. But mushrooms are really interesting because did you know they're not plants? They're not plants. They're called fungi. And they're their own type of thing. So they use, you can kind of see, do you see all those little white kind of stringy, they look like roots? Underneath our mushroom? Yeah, so those are called, I want to say mycelium, something like that. And they help, and I'm going to touch some of our leaves. So these are dead leaves, right, that have fallen. So I bet earlier this spring you had a lot of dead leaves, maybe in your backyard. And then one day they just disappeared. And they're like, what happened to them? That is because these little white tendrils will come up and they will decompose. They kind of break down these dead leaves or other dead things, other dead plants, stuff like that. They love it. And so they break it down. You can see how it's growing. Look at all that white stuff in the bottom. They are growing. They are growing, growing, growing. And then I'm going to bring over this little rain cloud and see what happens when it starts to rain. Oh, little mushrooms pop up. They pop up from all of these leaves. And you might have seen that. I just found some mushrooms in my backyard. I'm like, where did you guys come from? And that's because they had been under some old leaves. Let's break down some more. See if we can break down some more leaves. See. And they were under some leaves and they grew. So like I said, not all mushrooms are edible, but these type of mushrooms, a tawny milk-cap mushroom, they are edible. But again, if you ever see a mushroom, you want to make sure you know exactly what kind it is before you go eating it. Better be safe than sorry and not eat any wild mushroom. So with the help of rain, they get all plumped up, right? They're full of moisture and that helps them grow. But they don't use carbon dioxide. Kind of like how I said, our plants, like trees, use carbon dioxide. They don't use carbon dioxide. They get all their nutrition from those dead plants and leaves. Perfect. Well, friends, we are just about out of time. So I'm going to go back to me. Oh, maybe. Let's see. What do you see? Okay, you can't see me. Couldn't see me on my iPad, so I wanted to make sure. So thank you so much for joining me this morning for Little's Lab. I hope you learned a little bit more about how you can explore your world, and because it's just fun. It's fun to know what kind of like plants and animals and things like that are around you. It's cool to be able to know about things from across our world. It's pretty cool to know about things that are just in our backyard. So yeah, the next time, that's what I challenge you to do. Maybe the next time you go outside and go on your walking, your exercise, see if you can find an oak tree. And maybe you can find a red oak tree or a white oak tree, and you'll be able to know by the leaves. So take a look at those leaves. Maybe bring some binoculars if you have them. So then you can look up and really easily see. Perfect. Well, next time, friends, we are going to be looking at a special app that helps us. All you have to do is take a picture and it will help us find out and learn about what kind of plant that is. So that's what we're going to be doing next week. So hopefully you can join us tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week, next Saturday. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining for Little's Lab, and we'll see you next time.